Greetings, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. Today, I thought that I would do something a little bit different for this channel. I've been feeling like I need a little bit of change. I've been feeling a little bit monotonous recently. And so I wanted to do something slightly different. And so what I wanted to do today, as you can tell by the title, is I wanted to talk about Lizzo and what is happening with Lizzo. This is because Lizzo is someone that, a lot of us really looked up to. She is someone who is so talented. She is an absolutely incredible artist. She is so charismatic and inspiring, and she has helped, empower millions of women. And she has been like a champion and leader of body positivity and anti-discrimination and anti-bigotry and feminism. And she has just been such a powerful voice who has really sort of helped to honestly change the world, change the music industry, change the way that people view themselves and view others, and has really been a driving force in a very powerful movement. And recently she has come under a lot of fire for being the complete opposite of all of those things, and it has been a real shock to everyone, myself included. And I wanted to sit down and I wanted to talk about that and unpack that and just sort of discuss what's going on, because there's a lot there and there's a lot to say and there's a lot that I want to talk about. And so we're going to talk about that together. But before we get into it, I would like to say a massive thank you to today's patron of the day, Imogen. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for all of your support. If anyone else would like to become a patron, it starts at as little as £1 a month at patreon.com/savvycat, and it means a lot. So thank you. Yeah, so let's get into the video. As I've already explained, I'm sure we all know who Lizzo is, an incredible artist with some incredible music. She has fantastic performances and an inspiration to many, and she speaks out about a lot of issues. And so obviously, naturally, everyone thought that she was, a fantastic person, a really kind, loving person who just kind of wanted the best for people, who was a voice for people who were not often listened to. Being a fat black woman in a world that is not at all built for you is an incredibly difficult thing, and being able to be so successful in the public eye whilst being a fat black woman is something that is not only difficult to achieve, but also is very difficult to, just be, because you face a lot of backlash. A lot of people have a lot of things to say about Lizzo and always have, and she's been the subject to a lot of hate. There's countless tweets and videos and comments made about her constantly that, is enough to pull down a lot of women. And she persevered through all of it because she wanted to be, a voice for people, because she prides herself on overcoming adversity and helping those who face adversity. She has like a clothing line that is made to be inclusive. But yeah, recently, as in I think last week, it was brought to light that a lawsuit has been made against her by 3 of her ex-dancers. And the lawsuit includes big claims such as sexual harassment and creating a hostile work environment through sexual, racial, and religious harassment in several incidences between 2021 and 2023. And one of the claims that was in this that a lot of people have been discussing is body shaming and firing a dancer over gaining weight, which is obviously incredibly against her best interest and everything that she has stood for. And I wanted to talk about, go through these and look at what's happened and just sort of unpack it a little bit. Some of the specifics of this lawsuit are, as far as sexual harassment go, they have claimed that Lizzo really likes to have fun and create a fun environment with her dancers and her crew, and this includes inviting them to go out after shows, to go party, to go do whatever all together. And it is apparently all understood amongst the crew that those who attend these outings, who go and they have a good time, are more likely to receive benefits. They're more likely to be invited on bonus shows, also go on like holidays with her and just be treated nicer, whereas those who do not participate are often given like cold shoulders and like kind of fear for their job security because they'll be given less opportunities. And so one of these instances included in Amsterdam. After one of her shows, they went into the red lights district where they went to a sex show where you are able to interact with the performers, as in like touch them and be involved in the performance itself. And one of these things was apparently one of the dancers was pressured to eat a banana out of one of the performers' genitals, which is so awful that this person was made to feel as though this was something she had to do in order to receive any sort of benefits or receive equal treatment and have job security. And so that is obviously a pretty big deal. As well as that, there was pressure to touch a performer's breasts and to like catch dildos that they were like shooting out of themselves into the audience, and just overall just feeling very uncomfortable about being pressured into these situations. This lawsuit is also not only against Lizzo, but also their dance captain, Shirlene Quigley, and that also includes like for religious and sexual harassment, such as Quigley supposedly makes it a very much her business to know about the sex life of the dancers, so she will like shame dancers who have had premarital sex, whereas at the same time she would share explicit fantasies that she has with the dancers without their consent. So not only is she harassing them and, you know, berating them for participating in sexual activity, she is also indulging in graphic sharing of her own sexual fantasies, which is completely inappropriate and completely uncomfortable for dancers to be around. For anyone to be around, you shouldn't be sharing those things without explicit consent from everyone involved. This is obviously massive violations of boundaries and will make people incredibly uncomfortable, and you should never be put in a position where you feel like you have to tolerate this treatment in order to have job security. And it's really awful that they're made to feel this way at their place of work, especially considering, you know, these people went into this job thinking that Lizzo was going to be a safe person to work with, you know, based on everything that she promotes and who she appears to be. Obviously, people who go into work with her are going to assume that they are going to be in a safe environment where they are, you know, empowered and taken seriously and just like cherished, you know? That's what you expect from her. But also on top of this, they claim that one day Lizzo decided that her dancers were not committed enough and everyone needed to re-audition, which was done through a vigorous and intense 12-hour rehearsal where people felt afraid to leave. And one of the plaintiffs who is suing did soil herself because she was afraid to leave, because she was afraid that if she left for any reason that she would lose her job, which is so awful. And I cannot imagine the fear and shame that must have been associated with that incident. And I think that, you know, that's a just horrific thing to do. To make people dance for 12 hours straight is so terrible. That would be so exhausting for any person. It doesn't matter your level of skill or professionalness. That's just such a like massive ask for anyone to do. And on those lines of telling people they don't take it seriously enough and having to re-audition everyone for 12 hours straight, there was an instance where someone was let go and told they weren't committed enough, whom they claim they believe is a thinly veiled way of saying that she had gained weight and was no longer welcome on the team for that reason, because she had gained weight and was told she wasn't committed enough anymore. And so pieced together that conclusion in her mind, which if that is true and that is the real reason, that is so absolutely against everything that Lizzo has ever stood for. And again, it goes so against her best interest, considering, you know, she is meant to be a voice for the people who are treated like her. You know, like as a big woman, she has faced a lot of adversity. She has faced a lot of discrimination. She continues to face that. And so people thought that being with her and being in a space with her was going to be a safe space, was going to be a place where, you know, it didn't really matter what they looked like or how much they weighed. They thought that, you know, they were in a safe space, considering that is what Lizzo always preaches. So I'm sure that if that is the case, then that would be an incredibly shocking and devastating thing. That is an incredibly shocking and devastating thing no matter who you're with, no matter where you are, but especially coming from someone whom you admire for those reasons. Now, I am someone who always believes the victim. I believe that, there is absolutely no reason to lie about any of this, especially when you're speaking up against like a public figure, especially when it is someone who is so popular and has such a big following, especially someone who is so much admired by people. I don't think that lying is going to be something that happens, because the amount of backlash you face when you speak up against celebrities is so massive. Like, if you speak up against someone like Lizzo and you make all of these claims, you are guaranteed to receive death threats and threats of all sorts, because how dare you speak against someone that I love? Why would she do this? You're lying. Like, you wouldn't put yourself in that position unless it is something that is genuinely occurring and has genuinely hurt you, because you are ultimately causing yourself a lot of pain by doing so. That, along with the fact that no one else has come forward and spoken on behalf of Lizzo, like no one has defended her. The only thing that has happened is actually more people who aren't involved in the lawsuit have come forward being like, yeah, this is how it is. This is what happens. This is how, she treats her staff. This is the environment that it was when I was there a few years ago as well. It is all a facade. And I think that, when someone is a good person and this isn't the case, other dancers will step forward and be like, that's untrue. She's always been kind to me. I have never seen this sort of thing happen before. A good example of that is like a K-pop idol, Chu, from the group Luna. She left her company, and her company made all of these outrageous claims about how she was terrible to work with. She was rude. She was demanding. She was horrible to be around. And everyone in the entire industry came forward and was like, she is the nicest person you'll ever meet. She has always been so kind and lovely. She is always, so cheerful. She is a lovely person to work with. She's one of my favorite people to work with. And there were so many claims of that, and not a single person was backing up the negative claims. It was just the company that she left, so they had beef with her, right? That didn't happen in this case. No one stepped forward, except Grimes a few days ago, but like, we're not taking Grimes' side here, She's like, she was nice to me one time back 5 years ago. Like, I don't care. Like one person speaking up and it's Grimes versus multiple people speaking up being like, I support these women for making this lawsuit. It's very brave. Including a dancer called Courtney Holland. She stepped forward and made a post in her Instagram story where she said, for clarification, I'm not a part of the lawsuit, but this was very much my experience in my time there. Big shout out to the dancers who had the courage to bring this to light. And it also came out that the original director of her documentary, who is a Black woman by the name Sophia Nali Ellison, she also came in and backed up these claims by saying, I usually do not comment on anything pop culture related, but in 2019, I traveled a bit with Lizzo to be the director of her documentary. I walked away after about 2 weeks. I was treated with such disrespect by her. I witnessed how arrogant and unkind she is. I was not protected and was thrown into a shitty situation with little support. My spirit said to run as fast as you fucking can, and I'm so grateful I trusted my gut. I felt gaslit and was deeply hurt, but I have healed. Reading these reports made me realize how dangerous of a situation it was. This kind of abuse of power happens far too often. Much love and support to the dancers. And then she later posted a second story to follow up, saying she creates an extremely toxic and hostile working environment and undermines the work, labor, and authority of other Black and brown women in the process, adding that Lizzo is a narcissistic bully who has built her brand off of lies, and noting that you'll see that the director of her documentary in the end was a cis white man. Now, these are also obviously pretty big claims, but again, so many people are backing this up, and they're like, I am in no position to deny this at all. And the more that comes out, the more I am inclined to be like, yeah, and I believe them from the start. Again, they had absolutely no reason to lie. Even telling the truth is bringing a lot of pain and harm on yourself. So like lying, there's no reason to lie at all. And I don't think this many people would be stepping forwards in support of these girls who are suing her if it was a lie. If it was untrue, this wouldn't be as big of a deal as it is, you know? So a few days after all of this went down, Lizzo finally made a statement on her Instagram. It is quite long, so bear with. These last few days have been gut-wrenchingly difficult and overwhelmingly disappointing. My work ethic, morals, and respectfulness have been questioned. My character has been criticized. Usually I choose not to respond to false allegations, but these are as unbelievable as they sound and too outrageous to not be addressed. These sensationalized stories are coming from former employees who have already publicly admitted that they were told their behavior on tour was inappropriate and unprofessional. As an artist, I have always been very passionate about what I do. I take my music and my performances seriously because at the end of the day, I only want to put out the best art that represents me and my fans. With passion comes hard work and high standards. Sometimes I have to make hard decisions, but it's never my intention to make anyone feel uncomfortable or like they aren't valued as an important part of the team. I'm not here to be looked at as a victim, but I also know that I'm not the villain that people and the media have portrayed me to be these past few days. I'm very open with my sexuality and expressing myself, but I cannot accept or allow people to use the openness to make me out to be something that I am not. There is nothing I take more seriously than the respect we deserve as women in the world. I know what it feels like to be body shamed on a daily basis and would absolutely never criticize or terminate an employee because of their weight. Now, you will notice a few things about this apology. One of those being, there is no apology. And like, here's the thing, is that even if you genuinely don't believe you have done anything wrong, you still need to validate, you know, what the people are accusing you of, because you have clearly made them feel unsafe and upset in these, and all you are doing is further invalidating that. You know, you have to address these points like one by one. You have to go in and talk about what you've been accused of and why you think they may have come to that realization, and then apologize for it. The best apology I think the internet has ever seen will always be Jenna Marbles' apology, right? Where she went in and she looked at every single thing that she had been accused of. She took it. She was like, I understand how you came to this conclusion. This was my intention, but I am so fucking sorry for the people that it hurt. It was not my intention, and I understand that, you know, how it may have been perceived, and I would never do it again. That sort of thing. You know, you have to go through these points point by point, acknowledge what the issue is, how they came to that conclusion, why it occurred, and then apologize for it and say that, you know, you won't do it again, and acknowledge what was wrong and how you will change that in the future. You didn't do that. And in fact, this is the thing as well of, right, like the thing she apologized for the most was the body shaming. The I would never fire someone for their weight thing. And that has been the focused on point by a lot of people because, you know, that is very much, you know, what Lizzo stands for. And especially conservatives and right-wingers make that her entire personality, right? They talk about her as though she is nothing but a fat black woman, and that is it. That is all she is. And so since this whole event happened, you've seen such a massive outbreak of fat shaming happening. And it's really taken away from the core of this. And it's so frustrating to see the fact that so many people are prioritizing that over everything else, when that is honestly like the least serious part about this. Like there's like sexual harassment and assault in this. There's been some pretty heavy accusations. And although this is terrible, and obviously so shocking, it is not the core part of this, and a lot of people are taking it away and making it out to be just that and nothing more, and that is completely against everything that this case needs to be. And just refusing to acknowledge all other points in this is just like shoving it under the rug. It's invalidating the victims. It's not making you look very good. It doesn't help at all in the case at hand. Like if anything, it makes it seem so much worse. Another thing that makes it seem so much worse and makes you look very guilty is the fact that Lizzo hired a lawyer recently, and the lawyer she hired is Marty Singer. Now, Marty Singer is the man who defended Johnny Depp, Chris Brown, Jonah Hill, Bill Cosby, and many others. And, you know, a lot of people are saying, of course she hired him. He is the best at this job, you know. He's gotten all these people off, right? He's gotten them all off, so he knows what he's doing. He's very good at his job, so he can help her. And, like, listen, yeah, that's true. However, that also says a lot about like how, you know, she needs someone who is able to get all of those people off, which since they were all guilty, it makes her look pretty guilty too, right? And like the fact of the matter is that this man has said, and I quote, "I love a lot of my clients and I care for them, and if somebody fucks with my clients, they're fucking with my family or they're fucking with me." And I personally could never give my time and money to someone who feels that way about the people he has defended. This man has defended abusers and rapists and just the worst of the worst people. And he calls them his family and people that he loves. And Lizzo is going in here and she is working with him and she is giving him money. And I don't care. I don't care what the situation is. There is not a single instance ever, no matter how afraid I am for my career, that I would give that man my money or associate myself with him or talk to him at all. And considering what she stands for and all the morals that she has, the fact that she is willing to work with this man and pay him a fuckload of money, I think already says a lot about her character. Say what you will about him being a good lawyer and she needs a good lawyer. I don't actually care. Honestly, if you aren't guilty, get a different lawyer. I can't look past it. I can't look past it. In amongst everything that is happening and how this case is moving, there was unfortunately a bit of a hiccup that happened the other day. There was a mistake that was made by the plaintiffs and their lawyer, whom I think they should get a new lawyer. And that was the decision that they decided to do a TMZ interview where they just put their foot in this case. They should not have done this interview. They should not have said what they did because they have completely wiped out such a huge part of this case and made it so much harder. And I honestly don't know if they have a chance to win this case anymore. And that is because what they were saying was that nothing was ever explicitly said. Right? They said that it was just basically a vibe. Lizzo never said explicitly, if you don't go to these sex clubs and do these things, you will lose your job. She had never threatened their job security. She had never said at the 12-hour audition, like, if you leave, I will fire you. She didn't explicitly say to the dancer whom she allegedly fired for gaining weight, she didn't say to her, I'm firing you because you gained weight. She didn't even comment on her weight at all, actually.
Were these demands or suggestions made by Lizzo, as you say, were they direct, where they said, I really want you to do it? Or was it more, I'm afraid if I don't, I might get fired?
Yeah, I think for both of us, there was like this always looming feeling of thinking that if you didn't do something or you didn't adhere to certain suggestions or demands, that your job could be in jeopardy.
The whole case is built off of the back of like bad vibes and having a work environment that feels unsafe, other than against Charlene Quigley, who did say and do all of these things. Lizzo herself hasn't said any of these things. It was just, noticed that if you did these things, you would be treated better.
Dancers who did have fun with her, they were favored, they were hired for more shows, they were invited on, like private jets.
And if you didn't, you would be, sort of shunned and not given as many opportunities. But nothing was explicitly ever said, right? And I absolutely agree that a work environment can feel unsafe and you can feel insecure within your job security and you can feel like you are being overlooked and discriminated against without that ever being said directly. I understand that. I agree with that. And I absolutely agree that that is wrong and not okay. However, that will not hold up in court. And saying that on a national interview on TV, just straight up being like, she never actually said anything. It just felt that way. And you didn't word it correctly either, has just really, really damaged the case and just completely discredited themselves. And the fact the lawyer was just sitting there saying nothing is just like, he should not have let them do that interview. He should have stopped them from speaking. And it just really, really hindered their case. And again, I understand that not everything has to be said in order for it to be a problem. Like one of their dancers, Quinn Wilson, said in a Instagram story When your boss invites you to do something, it's not that much different than being forced to do it. Sure, there's degrees of coercion, but the power dynamic brings a kind of force regardless of if there's stated pressure. This is one of the key lessons of Me Too, and that the dynamic doesn't change just because the boss is a woman. So basically being like, yeah, coercion exists when there's a power dynamic. So your boss inviting you out and asking you to do things, you obviously do feel that power dynamic, and you will feel the pressure to do those things because, you know, you have a work relationship. There is a power dynamic there that feels like coercion, even if it's not explicitly said. And that is the foundation of the Me Too movement when it comes to workplace harassment. I absolutely agree. However, the justice system fucking sucks. And shit like this does not hold up in court. You can't go in with just like the idea of coercion, with the feeling of a power dynamic. Like it doesn't work. And I know this because I was in an abusive relationship for a couple years, right? 2.5 years of my life, I was in an abusive relationship. I was pressured to do a lot of shit I didn't want to do. I didn't have control over my sense of self. Nothing. But when I went to the law, when I went to try to take legal action about this and have some sort of consequence happen to him, I was met with the fact that, you know, there is evidence that I like consented at least one time. So therefore, anything else that happened wouldn't hold up in court of law because one time I said it was okay. Even though there was power dynamic there, even if the reason I would say yes was because of coercion or because there was a power dynamic or whatever, fact of the matter is I still did that. Even if I fought back, I eventually still said yes. Since that existed, I had no case and I would lose. And he would get away with everything because there's no proof. There's no proof of that not happening. I didn't have like voice recordings or videos of anything of that happening. Even if he would say things, where's the proof of him saying things? I didn't have any. All there was proof that I did say yes, and I didn't have any proof that I said no because he was clever and always made me phone him. And in this instance, they don't have any proof of her pressuring them. They don't have any proof of her saying anything. They don't even have like not proof. They haven't even said that she would pressure them into it, just that it felt pressured. And yes, again, I understand that. I have been in situations where I have done things that I don't want to do without fighting back, without saying no, because I felt there would be severe consequences if I didn't. I've been around abusers my whole life. I've been in situations in which there is definitely a power dynamic, and I've done things I don't want to do because if I didn't, I am afraid there would be consequences, even if I wasn't explicitly told there would be. So I absolutely get it, and it's absolutely not okay, but it will not hold up in court. And it sucks, and it's not fair, but that is unfortunately the way that it works. And your lawyer absolutely should have stopped this interview from happening and come up with a more solid way to present this case in order to get those points across. Because of this, I think that taking it to court was the wrong route. I do believe that these women deserve compensation for losing out on job opportunities, for potentially being fired for discriminatory reasons, for not being paid fairly or treated fairly. I do believe they deserve compensation for that. However, I don't believe they are going to get it. And I think that the best way to have gone about it would have been to just come out and warn other women, you know, to warn people about who she is, to tell people about her character, have more people speak out against her, and just share this information because we have this information now, right? We already have the information. But if in court it rules in favor of Lizzo, Lizzo is going to win over a lot more people again. People are going to take her side and not listen to the fact that, you know, she's done all these bad things because all they'll see is not guilty. And everything else will kind of not matter anymore. And that's the real problem. I think as much as you deserve compensation, I don't think legal action is the way to go, unfortunately. I think that if the lawsuit isn't won, which I don't think it will be, a lot of people will turn on you. And that's not going to be fun for you. And it is going to continue the support of a bad person. And so that's where I stand on that whole thing. And again, I don't think it's fair. And I do believe that it was a hostile work environment. And I don't think anyone should be subjected to that. And I don't think we should be supporting someone who creates an unsafe work environment like that. And I think that they do deserve compensation. I just don't think it's going to happen. And I think that unfortunately they have lost themselves the case from doing that interview. Ultimately, I think that what we have learned is that, you know, a lot of people lie A lot of people aren't the people that they say they are. A lot of people work against their best interest. I personally just like can't understand how you can be a public figure and like stand for all of these things openly in front of the public eye and then not be that person behind closed doors. And I think that for a lot of reasons, like even for like a purely selfish career driven reason, if you are being terrible behind the scenes and you are a very successful, very popular, famous person, do you really think that's not going to get out and like seriously hinder your career? Like at least pretend behind the scenes, you know? Like it's so interesting to me that so many people think that they can get away with so much. Like the power goes to their heads completely and they just lose sight of everything. They don't know who they are. They don't know what they're doing. They don't think that they are going to face any consequences because they feel invincible. And then shit happens and it all falls apart in front of them. And it's like, no shit. What did you think was going to happen if you treat people badly? You know? Yeah, it's kind of always heartbreaking when, you know, celebrities that you look up to, anyone you look up to turns out to do horrible things and be a bad person. But I think it's especially hard-hitting when it is someone like Lizzo because, you know, so many of us looked up to her and she has made such a positive impact. And I think that this has undone some of the positive impact that she has made because she has been called out to be such a hypocrite, and it then like ruins trust that people have with other celebrities, and not even other celebrities, just other people that they know. But I really wish the best to all the people who have worked with Lizzo in the past, who work with Lizzo currently. I hope that, you know, I hope that it does go well. I hope that I'm wrong and things do work out in the end, that something is able to be come to. It would be great if Lizzo just decided to pay them and give them compensation and make a proper apology. That would be best case scenario, is if she made a proper statement and a proper apology and compensated everyone. That is best case scenario. However, because of the lawyer that she has hired, I do not believe that to be true. I don't think that will happen, unfortunately. And so we carry on with the confirmed idea that Lizzo is not the person that we have all thought that she is. Yeah, so that's where we're at the moment on this case. Just a little bit heartbreaking, you know, and I wish the best for everyone involved. I hope that, you know, compensation happens. I hope that the situation dies down in the sense that they are not receiving any hate or attacks or any doxing or anything like that, because I know that that's something that will happen during and after the court case. I hope that you enjoyed the video. It's a bit different. So let me know if you want to see more videos sort of like this, talking about more current events and such. I've been meaning to do videos like this for a while, but it always gets on top of me and I end up being really late and everyone's already done a video and no one cares anymore. But I decided to do this, as I said, again, because this is something that I care about and Lizzo is someone that I personally admired. So I'm a bit heartbroken over this myself. Yeah, a massive thank you to my Sprout and Above patrons whose names are up on the screen right now. And a huge thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons: Harry, Toulouse, Bobby, Sparrow, Josh, Mandy, Robbie, Ikazel, Jessica, Eldo, Trini, Ida, Raven, Danielle, Inoli Like Cannoli, Elias, Evie, Jewel, Apollo, Taylor is Trying, Boston, and Chris. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for joining. If you would like to be on Patreon, go to patreon.com/savvycat or click the top link in the description. For as little as £1 a month, you get my videos a day early, as well as podcasts a week early. And then for £3 and up, you get things such as outtakes, bonus mini podcasts, live streams, vlogs, and more. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, The Queer Kiwi, and Twitter, That Queer Kiwi. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah. When you close your eyes.